basically belongs to Allah Ta'ala. And it's interesting talk. There was in Turkey. There was this scholar, Dr. Karim Laham. You can Google him, inshallah. Karim Laham. One of like the most profound speakers that we had there. I don't know if he's American or Brit or anyway. He was speaking a lot about he's speaking about trade and he's speaking about the guilds. Guilds are going to be these like industry organizations, like you get the Guild of Carpentry, and they control all carpentry in a traditional society. And you get the Guild of whatever, welding and furniture making, and every craft has a guild, which means it has an organization that manages and runs it, and the rulers can't actually interfere into it. This is a long discussion which I might speak about in bits as we go along. But I think one of the ideas that the guild was also linked to like a sheikh as well. It was like a physical skill you acquired, but also there was like a spiritual development and nurturing to it as well. And the idea about the guild, one of the many ideas about it, obviously you must be good in your profession and so on, but also the idea that every tool and every asset and every piece of wealth is like an amana. It's like a trust. When Allah entrusts you with a tool, you don't like turn it around and like, it's entrusted to you, like almost like it belongs to Allah, but you have the right of use of it. Like Allah gave you the right of use of it. Or you have a piece of land, you have the right of use of it. And to build an ugly building on a piece of land would be offensive. Because it's only that piece of land, I put something which is ugly or hideous or in discord with the environment, you're actually betraying a trust Allah gave you. And I think it's like a very profound way of looking at things, because we, in the West, we have the idea of this kind of absolute ownership. It's mine, I do what I want. It's mine, and I'll do what I want. But in the Muslim mindset, this belongs to Allah. I have the right of use to it. And I should use it in a way that Allah is going to please Allah with that. Whether that refers to social value or refers to beauty, because beauty is an important dimension in Islam. Architectural beauty or physical beauty. And yeah, it's an interesting concept about which you don't often think about. Like, if you eat something that is not nourishing, it harms you, but the harm might pass through you, because you might eat healthy food afterwards and you might restore yourself. But if you like build something which is like ugly, it's almost like the harm emits from it all the time. And obviously, when it comes to ugliness and beauty in Islam, we have a different conception from the West, because in Western values, beauty is completely subjective. Meaning what? That you can find a hideous thing beauty and you say, I say it's beautiful, and almost like I have the right to say it's beautiful. But in Islam, we have an idea that beauty is the reflection of Allah Ta'ala. Meaning what? Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbu jamal. So Allah is something called beauty. And He loves beauty. So there's almost like beauty is almost like more objective in Islam. Because you come to some like massages, some buildings, and it will universally be considered to be beautiful. Every come and tourists will take, say, why is it? Because there's something about it that makes it beautiful, objectively in a sense. And some buildings, like it looks hideous, and maybe like 2% of people say it's beautiful because they accord with that hideousness. But most people say that just looks like hideous. And almost like when you have something that lacks beauty and it's built, it permanently is toxic to the environment. And this is evident, like in our trip to Turkey now, alhamdulillah, is that we live in Fatih. Fatih is going to be on the European side, but it's actually the side where most of the beautiful buildings are, because that's where they conquered Constantinople, and that's where the capital was first and expanded afterwards. So on that side, you find all the Sulaymaniya and the Fatih Masjid and the Yavu Sultan and all the beautiful masajid and the old buildings. And that beauty affects your soul, that grandeur, that beauty of Islam, those beautiful symbols, it affects your heart and your soul. And because you are, in a sense, like the sum of your senses, or some of your senses through your whole life define you. And if you have beauty around you, then it beautifies you inside as well. So I like it there. The idea that what you have is a trust from Allah Ta'ala. And I think it's something that maybe have lost, in our culture a little bit. That idea that what I have is not just something that I belong to, what I want to it. So even if you have kids, you must say this is a trust from Allah. It's a man that has responsibility. Everything you have, actually, whether it's your clothing, even you treat your clothing well, because Allah gave it to you as a trust, the right to use your clothing. So it's a much higher level of being. I don't know if you like watch it, like a movie the last time, but I like it especially because when I saw that Japanese culture, okay, you guys don't watch movies, mashallah, but when you see the Japanese culture, it's like there's something beautiful about people who take pride in their craft, and people who take pride in every moment of what they do, whether it's the way they eat, or whether the way they're training for war, whether the way they're gardening, or they're cooking food, or there's something special about that. And I think that we have become so utilitarian that we've robbed ourselves of those beauty. Everything's just about utility. Like, it serves me, and if it doesn't serve me, I just throw it away. There's no idea of amana and trust from Allah Ta'ala. So it was interesting from that perspective. And I think that's something that we need to think about and talk about, and also raise our children with regard to it. That even like a pen has amana. You don't just like throw pens around, because it has amana. Allah takes an oath by Allah. You understand? It's a symbol of something, a symbol of knowledge. And this idea that things have amana, and if you carry yourself in a certain way of refinement. I would say from the question about private and public wealth, I think you asked about that. So that's the idea basically, is that you have the right of use in different ways to it. No. Is Dr. Karim Laham. I think it's Laham or Laham. He's an interesting thinker. No. He was actually, maybe I can just for a moment share about what struck me. What struck me about it is that, in a sense, I think we've given up on the idea of meaningful work as a society. Meaningful work. Meaning what? That most of the work that people do is not actually meaningful to them. It doesn't fulfill them. Most people feel like a cog in a machine. Like in a cubicle, stuck there, or I'm a customer service agent, okay, I'm doing this, or I'm a bank teller, or I'm the manager of the bank teller, or the manager of the bank. You know what I mean? It's not like intrinsically meaningful to them often. For many, maybe some people do find meaning in it, I don't know, but it's not meaningful for them. And I think that even when we speak about the work from an Islamic perspective, we say, what do we say about your work? We say about your work that you must remember Allah. But despite your work, you must remember Allah. Even if your job is like terrible, you must remember Allah. So that's fine. You must have the niyyah of goodness, meaning that you're earning for your family and you're making nafaqah and so on. That's fine. We speak about your akhlaq and your ethics of work. That's fine. But almost the substance of work, we'd like saying, okay, no, it's okay for you to have meaningful work, meaningless work. He's saying something different. He's saying, no, we must reject the modern system. It's like an interesting concept. He's saying that mechanization is inherently bad. And you can have a long discussion about it, but from his perspective is that if you are a craftsman, for example, and you build the chair from scratch, and you become a master, you become proficient at that, the work itself is meaningful. Which means, because I say that's your purpose and that's your happiness. Like I don't know if you met people like that who are like very proud of their trade. You know, it's their passion, and they take ownership of it. And they're not going to retire one day because they can do it till 60, 70 because it's who they are. You know, I'm a carpenter and that's what I do. But the work itself is meaningful. You with me? Whereas sometimes with the rest of people, you're working to stop working. It's just simply a means, but a means to what? Like what you can do when you stop. You must do something. You can't just have leisure and just do nothing. and be entertained. What if you stop when you're 40? What do you do? You must still find something meaningful. So why not just find meaningful work from the beginning? Which is like which I find interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges with regard to it and economics and all those things, but there's definitely a space for different things. And like for example, like a simple thing, and it might sound like silly, but when you think about it more, it makes a bit more sense. For example, say the idea of making shoes. Do we have people able to make shoes? Like make a shoe, like the idea, because it's like almost like it's so foreign. I don't make a shoe, buy a shoe from the factory. You know, it must come from China and they have a big mechanized process and you just buy one off the shelf. But traditionally, people used to make shoes. Like cobbler used to make shoes and stitch together and all of those things. And I think that even from an economic point of view, those things will almost become more valuable with time. Because as we become more mechanized and more uniform, people will seek out something which is more unique and custom made, individualized. It's happening already in that sense. So his whole message was about the idea of finding your purpose in some sort of trade or craft, and then finding a master, which like represents a guild, and linking it to spirituality. So there's like ihsan and there's spirituality in it, and then excelling at it, and because everything we do, we bring the machine in because we want to escape ourselves, we want to escape work. Like everything we do is like almost like everything we do, every technology addition is for us to work less and work less and less because labor is seen as enslavement. But from an Islamic point of view, labor is actually what you do for your life. It's like what else you do besides work? What else? Besides a small group of academics who are going to study, but the whole world can't become academics. People to build stuff and make stuff, and you know, I mean, you can't all sit and philosophize on the floor under the tree. There's like a civilization to be built. It was an interesting discussion, which I think in the long run, as I believe that work will become less meaningful for people. Like at the end, like if you're going to sit behind your laptop 9-10 hours a day at home, at some point you are going to crack. You know, at some point, like if you imagine you put a 22-year-old guy on a laptop, okay, here's your life. Year 1, year 2, year, because that's what works in the day. Because we're becoming more and more abstracted, more and more abstracted, we're moving to a virtual economy. At some stage, like people are gonna crack, like, you know, like I'm losing my mind. I can't, like, this isn't life. Sitting here and then putting on my headset to go see my colleagues, and then you know what I mean, like this is not real. What is this? Definitely. Yes. Yes. Hmm. Hmm. And I think that like the rest of the point is that the whole industry of masters has been lost. Whether it's carpentry, whether it's shoemaking, whether it's like so many things, the industry of mastery of something. Like we built the school at Guthrie, built the school, we need someone to, I don't know what to call that. You know, the plaster where they make like fancy plastering things, the molds and things. It's so hard to find someone. I think we had to find like a 60-odd-year-old guy who did, like, he came and it's quite expensive also, because he'll charge like maybe like 1,500 for like a small little frame, because there's no one who can do it anymore. The kufir, yeah, the kept on the loss. So the point to think about, the point to say, you maybe you now last course, you're older, you're stuck in a job, that's fine. But now for your kids, your grandkids, like, do you send them down the same path? like for me, like it was an interesting question to answer, to ask myself: do I send my kids down the same path that might be meaningless for them, or do I make the point not economics, but make the point about what's going to be meaningful for you, and whatever you earn from there, inshallah, will be enough for you.
What I've been like that growing up in Durban was much not in shape, go to school, go to university,
Become professionals there.
But I see it now that I think for my kids, I would probably want to take it more use your hands. I think there's a lot more benefit in actually seeing that realization of what you do with your own hands.
Yes, yes.
And you see there's so much of people that they work in their own time, whatever they make is theirs, all those carpenters and like in Durban was like I'm the point of the person that these are the people who work people or they do at school. But I think sometimes that's a difficult issue to get into.
They've been Cape Town as well. In Durban, most people are traders. In Cape Town, most people were workers, laborers and stuff. The kids of those children, not all, but mostly became academics. Lawyers, doctors, engineers, they became people who didn't work, because traders work with their hands, they work with people, and laborers work with things, and laborers, artisans work and they build things. Both those generations became now like your intellectual class, and they lost that. They lost the trade and they lost the artisan ability. So so maybe to be reversed again. So we're not saying like from a fiqh point of view, it's like it's a sinful or anything like this. No, there's no fiqh issue with it. And obviously you often have fiqh obligations. For example, if you're a man, you have to make nafaqah of your family and you have to look after your kids, so you have a fiqh obligation. So it's always like a bit too late if you're stuck with a bond and with kids and you're not gonna go become a carpenter now because you're like, I mean, it's just like you're in a different stage. So it depends a lot on your amount of flexibility you have. But if you have flexibility, that there's generally not all the case, but generally often more flexibility for women, because sometimes you're not, maybe I don't know what the stats are now, but sometimes there's more flexibility in terms of economic demands. And the idea is that it's good to find one's passion, whether it's even part-time. It's just good to find your passion. Even if it's part-time. And some people, like, for example, like to bake, they start a baking blog and they bake things and they sell birthday cakes or they sell stamps. That becomes I find a lot of people are passionate about baking something. Like for me, I'm completely not passionate about baking because for me, like, it doesn't make the equation doesn't balance. It's like 1 hour to make and 10 minutes to eat. So so for me, the equation always just doesn't work out in my mind. But for other people, it's about that experience is like rewarding when they see it in the dish, and there's something about it that fulfills them. Some people to sew something, to make something, and almost like our generation looked down upon that. Like, how can you be that? But as you become more proficient in that, I think there's going to be more scarcity and there's be more demand for those few who can do it well. Who can do it well. So I think that. It just gave me something to think about, because almost I felt like after listening to the talk that realizing that we have given up that fight about meaningful work. And we just speak about the periphery of it, the niyyah and the akhlaq and the dhikr. But the actual work itself is, okay, do what you want. But maybe it's also time to think and say, no, it's try to find what you want to do. If you can't find it, let your children find it. Because you also push your children into a direction and they just go. And they just get absorbed in the same thing. And generally work is just generally, like in our culture, it's like a means to an end. It's like a means to an end. It's like, what jobs will pay me the most? I'll do that one. Best benefits, I'll do that one. Why do you do something that you really enjoy? And you become a master at it. Not necessarily. I think that it depends on what it is. For example, if you're a carpenter, there's always people gonna need things. You know what I mean? Like if you're a baker, there's something that they need something to bake. If you're a clothes maker, there's always going to be, yes, going to be cheap Chinese clothes, but there's going to be people who's going to be in the market for it. So I think there is going to be it depends on the industry. It depends on the industry a lot. It's not an easy thing, but it depends on the industry a lot. So I don't know. It's something to think about. No, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying just from a logical point of view, like if you're going to spend 40 years doing it, if you might make it meaningful. No, I understand what I'm saying again. That, but I'm just saying the logical. Like to be honest, like I did my own life. I came from a world which I didn't find too meaningful, and I tried to change something I found meaningful. Now I'm much happier in life. I mean, alhamdulillah, I think life is good. Alhamdulillah, and it's not easy. I'm saying because it's a big shift. But I think the idea first of all is just to conceptualize it. And to grapple with the concept and see does it work, because work is going to become like worse and worse in terms of quality. They're speaking about the whole virtual economy, and the virtual economy means a whole army of people behind screens all the time. It's happening already, and it's just, is that a life that is going to sustain like humans? Is going to create beautiful human beings? Someone knows best. And obviously we can't reverse time, we can't reverse technology, but you can find your space in big spaces. You can find your space in big, for example, teaching for me is meaningful. But go to a high school or something. How many people want to become teachers? No one. What's that? Yeah. Almost like you can't become a doctor, you can become a teacher. You can find us, make a space that you enjoy. Like it's almost like we've given up everything. Like okay, teacher, no, but the public school is terrible. Then make a private school that you like. It's just like, yeah, I'm busy making one now. It's just like we have to think about these things. If you truly find meaning in for it, then it's fine, inshallah. But you must also be honest. People should be honest also. It means that you don't look forward to holidays, you're not looking forward to retirement. Like a person who loves their job doesn't want to retire. You find the old people sometimes, they have like a trade. They say, I'm not going to retire. I can do some tea, drink tea all day. You know what I mean? They want to do this. They want to, like my friend, Salim Malasalim, his father's pet stores. He's one of the master joiners and stuff. He tried retiring, he's back working again now. He's one of the best carpenters in Cape Town. But I don't know who's taking his skill from him. Because everybody's at some, you can buy a door from Bull's warehouse, but there's going to be a good amount of people who want a custom door. A good amount of wealthy people who want a custom door made for their size, made for their style, and someone has to build. So even something simple as who's going to be able to build a door in like 20 years time? And fit it and make it swing and all of those things. I don't know. It was good food for thought. It was good food for thought. Social
conditions that we are currently sitting ourselves in. So we don't even know that we are aligning ourselves as well. Because I'm one of those parents that said, my daughter is now second year, wanting to be a high school teacher, and I said, "What? Are you crazy?" And then I said, "Okay, now we have planned. This is your passion. You want to do it? Okay, get the best marks so that you can teach at the best schools." Then she said, "But I want to actually go make a difference in those schools that are struggling."
Yes.
And I can't. As a parent, you want to make it easy for your child. You tend to, I don't know, and she tends to want to take the difficult road, and it's like,
But she must find meaning. She must find meaning, and some people find meaning in being in different environment, trying to make a difference, trying to help people, and it's beautiful. So I think that we must encourage our children also to find meaning in their work, and not just driving for economic. And I think that even Muhammad was saying he bought a pair of shoes from a shoemaker, some Muslim guy in town or something. This guy makes custom shoes. The shoes go for between 20 and 40,000 rand. This is because he makes his custom shoes. And what I'm saying is, we must challenge the notion that meaningful work means less money. You understand? I'm just saying we must challenge the notion that meaningful work means less money.
Because I mean, she's giving something over, and then when she tells people what she's doing, they actually looking down on it because of the fact that it's so much money.
Yes,
And
yes.
you know that money means nothing, it's all over the place.
Mm.
And you are like high on top of the wealth.
Yes, yes, yes.
What is really sad, the point is that really sad on your career when it's when they look at the monetary factor.
No.
And that is, I mean, and you're really losing self of it.
Yeah. There's a hadith, I'm not sure how authentic the hadith is, but it's reported that the Prophet said, "Innama bu'ithtu mu'alliman." I've only been sent as a teacher, which is an interesting hadith. Because in the end, it's also your life and your time. It's your life and your time, and you live it for you also. You know, obviously, if you have children, one day you live for them and so on. But I'm saying, often when you're young, you can make your choices at the beginning. Meaning, what if you're a madrasa teacher, you're going to be the husband who knows you're a madrasa teacher. You know, you're not a doctor, and they're going to live a life according to that. You know what I mean? So, like, what I'm saying is, when you're in it, it's hard to shift because you're tied down. But I'm saying, if you're younger, you have more room to choose a field where you find good.
But that's not sustainable in terms of the whole nation. Because the growth in population is able to accommodate.
Yeah, so like on a macro level, I think it's the world is just mechanized and consumer based.
Yes.
So it is like it is what it is. What I'm saying is that almost for me, like it is that you're not going to change that. Do what's right for you. You know what I mean? Like, so,
But the government is also pushing for meaning work, not meaning work. Like you find you go to work, the guy stands there with the board, and he has to show the board now mechanically, manually. That's where the shop you have to go.
so that's not meaningful work at all.
I know that's why I say that's the meaning.
Yeah, but on the other hand, cleaning.
Although it's
That's just terrible. But I'm saying, for example, even though they're saying cleaning, you had people who taught you how to clean, and some people found happiness in cleaning. Some people find happiness in cleaning and maintaining, like, you know, because like, say you're the cleaner of the masjid, you can find like happiness in keeping the space clean because you take ownership of the space. It's not like, you know what I mean? So almost like we must just think about what people. So I agree with you. Say, oh, demeaning things, which is like using people as a robot. But they are also meaningful spaces. So I don't think it's a macroeconomic solution. It's more a solution of individual arts. Like individual arts, find your space and happiness in this world. Otherwise, you're in for a long toil. No, I mean it's real. You're in for you're going to be at home or behind a cubicle for 40 years, and
especially with the way that economic environment is. Sometimes everybody depends what you change. So if you created a niche market, maybe it could work.
Also, on the other hand, now because because of technology, you have a big market. You can send your shoes to anywhere in the world. You know, you have access to bigger markets. So I think that either way, I think inshallah you'll make it if you're good. I think the idea about meaningful work is that also the idea of the guild. You can only succeed if you're good. It's not only about passion. If you're a passionate carpenter but all your doors are skew, you're not going to sell anything. You're going to be. In the end, it must be meaningful, and also you must have the skill. And the idea of the guild was that you checked whether you had the skill also, because you have to have you must become the best. And the idea behind work also was interesting because it wasn't so much also about your intention. I mean, it's about your intention and so on, but also there's an element of ihsan which is physical. There's like a physical product in the end, and you can see whether you're good or not. It's like almost like an objective measure, and so it's other words, your focus is on something physical, which actually makes it sometimes easier. Because you're busy with intellectual stuff, you're always thinking about whether I'm like. You must find a master. Yeah. No, you must find the idea. You must find a master to progress. Definitely, I think one of the tragedies is that especially young people, they have no exposure. I mean, like even in sports, lose every week in the soccer field, all the middle class teams, because they play games all week on the computer. Like as when we grew up, I grew up in Southern, we played soccer all day. What I'm saying is that if you think about a life of a young person, they go to school on device, come home on device. They have no other experience of life. Like there's no life experience. So if you have no life experience, you actually become a shell, because there's nothing inside that you can. They haven't experienced anything. They haven't put a nail in his wood before. Or like I must admit the one day we took the good 3 kids to the beach. So I said, let's play rugby on the beach. Then the boys started passing forward. I told coach, this is embarrassing. How can high school have boys don't know rules of rugby? They were like passing the ball for. I'm like, because you realize that these kids never actually played rugby before. Because they gave me the other day, they never picked up a rugby ball and learned that you must pass it sideways, backwards, and that's how it works. Like it's the most bizarre thing for me, but because it's the most natural thing. We grew up playing sports. Every sport you could play, you played. It doesn't matter what you played, whatever, you just try it out. But it was just like bizarre for me. So the coach one guy says, well, at our school, we must not stick to robotics because these kids in sports, they're going to go nowhere. Because we have sports now, we're trying it, but just the skill level is just, there's no skill left besides these virtual skills. No, definitely. I mean, yeah, some of the schools are opening esports labs and arenas and stuff, which is I don't know. Anyway, so I mean, I'm just.
Is that very very proud of the fact that you can earn money for being a saver.
And I think the last I mentioned also the idea was that the skill was linked to a spiritual master also. So it's not all just about enjoyment. There's also tarbiyah in it. There's tarbiyah in the experience. Like for example, the guy plastering at World Good Tree. He came in normal clothes, not overalls on. because he says like, this is the way you work. You must work so carefully, don't dirty your clothes. No, you were saying, because he's saying this is the way you must work. Because he's doing fine work. So he's saying it's not like you're just slapping on things and like going crazy, like you work in a very careful way and you always look neat, because that's almost like a fixture work as well. So it's interesting just in terms of the engagement. So it's something to think about, inshallah. So you can read, you can check him out. I think it's online, Karim Laham. Listen to some of his talks. I think he has some publications on, I think Seekers here, but also on, he'll come to me, inshallah. You Google him, you'll find him. Allahu Akbar, lillahi alhamd. I think maybe let me just mention 1 or 2 other lessons about Turkey, and then we'll carry on this next week, inshallah. Hopefully, some of you might have seen the podcast. So if you haven't seen the podcast, there's some of the lessons there from Turkey which we had. But I think maybe just one lesson I'll share with you is the importance of meeting like special people. Like if you think about your own life, there might have been people in your life that just meeting them had an effect on you. Even though you didn't like spend a long time with them, or you spend maybe a week with them or a few days with them, just meeting them, meeting their presence, seeing them in. Like I didn't really go to Turkey because I wanted the lessons. I mean, I went to lessons all the day, like 6 hours a day. But to be honest, like on YouTube and stuff, the people teaching there have lessons online, and they have like hundreds of hours of lessons there. So why fly all the way there and get like 10 hours where I can watch 100 hours on YouTube? Because it wasn't about just them speaking. It's about going in to meet a person, shake his hand, view him in class, try to speak him after class, hear him crack a joke, see his smile. It's just about there's like our belief is that there are a group of people who are the heirs of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And they carry not only the knowledge, they carry their nur as well. And you can generally identify them by they always have amazing teachers. Amazing people always have amazing teachers. It's almost like something which is transmitted. You used to born with some faculties of intelligence and these and the memory, but they get someone to make their tarbiyah. So the idea behind going to Turkey, and in fact most of my travels, is to meet those people. Whether they're masters of spirituality or of certain science, aqidah or hadith, is to meet those people, because in meeting them, there's something that transforms you. Their presence transforms, not just the words and their knowledge, their presence, their personality. There's a certain light that they carry that impacts you. And I want to like encourage people to make your journeys like some element of that. Because sometimes we just go purely for the bucket list. I'm going to go see this, I'm going to ride there, I'm going to help people here, I'm take a train there, and I'm going to check and take all my selfies, and okay, I did this. But what do you do really? You saw inanimate stuff, inanimate things without thinking. You saw mountains. It's so beautiful, mashallah, and khalqullah and ayat. But they're also the people of Allah. So we went looking for the people of Allah. Looking for the lessons, looking for the adhkar. Where's the next dhikr? When I go sit in this dhikr, okay, there's a Qadri dhikr here from the Syrians. We will sit there, inshallah. It's finding the people of Allah. And that was like, all of us didn't really care about sightseeing. That's like, by the way, okay, we're done. But if you have a conference, you have a sightseeing trip, I'm going to go to the conference, comes to this, I'm going to meet this scholar, this giant in Aqidah. I'm going to get something from him. There's going to be something about the presence and so on. So I think that's generally the objective of all. I think all my journeys so far. That's actually the objective. The sightseeing is like secondary. While I'm there, I'll go see a few things here. But I won't be stressed about it. In fact, I've been to Turkey twice. I haven't Istanbul yet. Because that doesn't bother me also that I haven't been to Cappadocia or Konya. When I'll go there, I'll meet the scholar in Konya, inshallah. That's why I'll go there, because I'll meet the scholar there. But that's objective. So I think that was the main advice that I have, is that seek out those people, whether in your community here or in South Africa or overseas. You seek them out when you can, because this connection is important. This connection to the people of knowledge and are important, because that's That's really all there is. Like, I don't know what else there is. And the Prophet says in the hadith, he says, "Ad-dunya mal'unatun." The world is cursed. Mal'unatun fiha illa. Everything is cursed except alimun wa muta'allimun. I forget the third thing was like what they call, I can't remember the third thing. But the three things, everything in the world is cursed except the teacher, the student, and that which follows, like the members of Allah that are good works and so on. Everything else is like cursed. Like there's almost there's nothing to it. And I think this is the lifeblood of our society. And you meet these people and they're amazing. I mean, the Sheikh Muhammad Hassan Ito, he must be about, I think, 78 or 79. I mean, he's old. And he's teaching a highly technical subject, usul al fiqh. And he's like carrying himself and he's clear in his speech. And you can see that knowledge has kept him sharp, kept him fresh. We were actually all scared of him. He was he has such a presence that he was very strict. Like when we came to class, he's like, he'll sit there, the class starts at 11 o'clock, he'll sit there and he'll say, we'll wait, because maybe people's watches differ. But we'll wait till 5 past. At 5 past, he says, lock the door and I will come inside. So he locks the door. And then after him water, he says, no one is allowed to eat and drink in my class. He says, I'm not saying this is the idea, I'm drinking water, but I'm saying, he says, I've never drank in front of a student in 25 years. Also, he'll never be late in 25 years. Definitely we won't say that, but I'm just saying, every teacher has a different presence. And they carry themselves different. Some are more relaxed and easy, and some are like more strict and so on. But it's special, you are all listening to this, you're all students of Deen. So you are connected to a legacy. And that legacy is an ocean for you. And you can go seek out whoever you want, you can go seek out, and there's just more and more nur. The more people you seek, the more people you meet, the more people you engage with. But you must seek them out also in real life. Like, mashallah, online is okay, online students, but you are depriving yourself of barakah of this majlis. Coming here as a special barakah in the masjid. And I encourage all of you, all 40 of you online, to join us in class, because there's a special nur that will come. And I will really, anytime I'll say, I'll spend my money just to go travel with you. What else? I don't want to go see the Eiffel Tower. I see it's okay. I'll be okay. Nice, big tower, mashallah. So what? I'm not saying it's like, I'm not belittling. I'm saying it's nice to see those things, and I've seen many things, and to see the pyramids. Okay, see a pyramid. It's okay to see a pyramid, like, okay, I saw the pyramids, but it doesn't have like a profound impact on you. But you meet the living ear of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has an impact on you. I'll tell you one story. We met, this man we met. I'll end with this, inshallah. We were walking down the street. In fact, I have a lot of study in Zali. I have a special collection of study because I lived in Syria for a year. So it was reminded me of my days in Syria. So obviously also like a bit hard so because of what happened. And this young boy comes and he's speaking. I think I mentioned in the podcast as well. But it's a beautiful moment. This young boy, after you find from the Ahlul Bayt. But it's a young boy, and you can just see the expression of the boy. He's like, he's like inviting us into his house, but he didn't tell his parents. And we like 5 minutes met before. And he's like inviting us, come. We must just drink. We say, no, don't bother. No, you must come. And then we go inside. We meet his father. His father has 8 kids. Quite poor. His father got some health issues, not really working and so on. And his father tells us, what I'm saying is that you learn even from non-scholars. His father tells us that he's been offered citizenship in a few European countries, Canada as well. They're prepared to fly them over, prepared to host them, give them monthly stipends. And his father just refused them. Why? He says, because if I take them over and I have 8 kids, they're all young, I'm going to lose my children. Because they're going to be absorbed into the system. I'd rather stay here and be poor in Turkey, and I can send him to madrasa. His kids are happy as well. The boy was 12 years old, he finished 13 months ago. I'll send my kids here, rather I'll be poor And they can follow, they can offer whatever they want. I'm not going to go. Because the dunya struggle was worth it to have your children. Because to have your children is like, to have the tarbiyah is everything. And like those are profound moments that affect your heart, affect your being, because you're hearing the story now, but I was sitting in the lounge hearing it. Hearing his kid recite to us. It's something special. I mean, this is the Ahlul Bayt, subhanAllah. So these journeys are important, and the right niyyah is important, inshallah. So make your niyyahs, inshallah, to meet. All my journeys so far have just been to meet people. Just like to meet, like I've been just to Jordan to meet people, so just to meet people. Like meet, like who are the greatest people that we know of. Go to Tarim to meet people. That's all I went for, just to meet people. That's why I've actually only really traveled the Arab world, because I'll go to the rest, like our Americans. But it's okay, it's sightseeing. There's something special about the people of Allah. People who have spent 30, 40 years in dhikr, in learning, who have had amazing teachers. Something special about them. There's something different about them. So connect yourself to them, inshallah. The question?
I wanted to say in that one of the things that motivated me a lot was Mizan was a day they used to go to whatever we tried to buy something from us. And we used to go to the restaurant and it was like a little fight. And eventually we got this guy who was like passing the same. We come to the end and we talk to the
I did.
and that always just stayed with me after that. So the guy still what he said, it was such a beautiful
Ordinary people. It's usually those ordinary people that impact you the most. That
Yes.
Even in our communities, I find sometimes when those Dahanese Maningal or this one Maningal, you hear these stories afterwards, it's profound, it's legacies that none of us in the community might have known, but these people persevered in their own paths.
Yes.
Paved their own paths. I love people like that as well.
Also become those people yourselves. Yeah, meet those people and become them yourselves as well, inshallah ta'ala. So that was just many things on the journey, but I think that was just one of the main messages is just meet the people. And also they're passing away soon. They're passing away fast. We've lost so many giants in the last few years. It's and there aren't people to replace them. Like I can tell you, the giants of this ummah who are dying, they are not like the Prophet is not replaceable. Abu Bakr is not replaceable. Okay, other Sahaba, yes, other Tabi'in, Abu Bakr is only one Abu Bakr, one Umar. And some of these scholars, there's only one of them. When they pass away, the students can't carry that full legacy. There's only one Imam Shafi, one Imam Ghazali. And we still have those unique individuals, but they won't be replaced. And we're becoming poorer and poorer in terms of those people. So for me, it's important just to, even when I just fly and just have one meeting with them, it's enough. Whether it costs whatever it costs 10 or 50 or 30, 40,000, like just to meet them and sit with them and to have that moment with them is for me is enough. Because it's enough just to, that's better than any building I'm going to see. Is to see these monumental human beings. The monumental human beings that we should try to meet, inshallah. Like we met one of those, rahimahullah, and some we didn't meet him. And for those who have met him, like it's a deprivation not to have met him. Not to make a great, but I'm just saying that these people are sons amongst us and they're gone afterwards. So try to meet these, spend time with them, spend time in the sohbah, inshallah ta'ala. Allah bless and protect. We will talk more next week. Inshallah, we'll carry on next week. But for homework, you can finish the next chapter. I'll read chapter 17, you can finish for homework. Allah bless and protect. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Waalaikumsalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay. Well, Yahya will be with you in a few minutes, inshallah.